"Don't trust my mom. She's cheating on you," my son said. "Watch this video." So I did, and the next morning I took the kids, grabbed the documents, froze the accounts, canceled the mortgage, and handed her divorce papers with a cup of coffee. It started like every other Tuesday. Dinner was over. The kids were finishing homework, and the hum of the dishwasher filled the silence in the kitchen. I was on the couch with my laptop open, sorting through work emails, half listening to the local news playing in the background. Then I heard the soft creak of the hallway floor. My son, Jacob, stepped in, shoulders stiff, hands in the pockets of his hoodie, face unusually serious. "Dad," he said quietly, glancing over his shoulder like someone might be listening. "I need to tell you something, but you can't freak out." He pulled out his phone. My first thought was that it had to be about school. Maybe someone bullied him, or something went wrong with a friend. Then he looked me straight in the eye and said the words that made everything stop. "Don't trust Mom. She's cheating on you. Just watch this." I blinked, confused. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. I took the phone, still expecting a prank, a misunderstanding, maybe some dramatic teen jump to conclusions. The video started inside what looked like a small cafe. She was there, my wife, Lauren, smiling, laughing, sitting across from a man I'd never seen. The angle wasn't perfect, but it was clear. They weren't just talking. His hand reached across the table. She leaned in like they'd known each other for years. I tapped the screen. The second clip hit harder. Our bedroom. The sheets. Her voice. The timestamp was 3 days ago. During a weekend, I'd taken Jacob and his younger sister, Emily, to the lake while she claimed to be catching up on work. My chest tightened, but I didn't say a word. I gave Jacob a nod and handed the phone back. He looked at me, waiting for a reaction. But there wasn't one, not yet. I got up slowly, walked into my office, and shut the door. I sat at my desk, staring at the family photo on the shelf. The smile she wore in it felt fake now, like it had been painted on. I opened the filing cabinet, pulling out every important document: birth certificates, social security cards, insurance records. I didn't stop. I logged into every account we shared: savings, credit, even the home loan portal. Passwords were changed. Access removed. I called my attorney, waking him from sleep, but I didn't care. I told him what I saw and what I needed. His voice sharpened within seconds. Custody papers were drafted. I filed an urgent motion online before dawn. The house, which had both our names, was under my name only by mid-morning after I pulled our equity into my own line. I called the bank and froze the joint accounts before she could pull a single dollar. The mortgage payment set for the 15th? Canceled. Her car was leased under my credit, also returned. Jacob watched quietly as I packed up documents, collected Emily's school supplies, loaded our clothes into 2 bags. He didn't ask questions. He didn't cry. He just stayed close, like he'd been carrying this for longer than I knew. When Lauren woke up, the kitchen smelled of fresh coffee. I'd made it exactly how she liked: 2 sugars, no cream. She walked in, still in her robe, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Morning," she mumbled. I placed the mug in front of her, then set a thick stack of papers beside it. Her fingers curled around the cup, but she froze when her eyes caught the bold header. "Divorce," she whispered. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell. I just met her stare and said it clearly. "Here's your new morning routine." She opened her mouth, but the words never came. I watched her blink, still processing, her expression slowly collapsing under the weight of what she thought she'd hidden so well. She didn't move. Her eyes scanned the divorce papers like they were written in another language. Her hand still hovered over the coffee mug, but the steam had already faded, same as the illusion she'd wrapped around our lives. I didn't sit down. I didn't need to. My stance alone made it clear this wasn't a discussion. Lauren opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her throat moved like she was about to speak, but the words stayed lodged there. She glanced at the envelope containing the custody papers, bank notifications, and the property split. Her fingers twitched, but she didn't reach for it. Jacob stood in the hallway, watching everything unfold. His eyes weren't wide with fear. They were calm, focused. He'd already moved past the shock. This wasn't new to him. He'd seen enough to stop hoping she'd explain herself. Emily was still asleep upstairs. I'd intentionally waited until morning because I didn't want her to see the video. She was only 8. She still drew hearts around her mom's name in school drawings. She didn't deserve to have that ripped away by a phone screen. Lauren finally spoke. "You're just going to throw everything away?" I didn't look at her when I responded. "You did that already. I'm just clearing the wreckage." She stood up. The chair scraped against the tile, the sound sharp in the quiet kitchen. Her hands clenched at her sides. "You didn't even ask me. You didn't leave room for questions," I interrupted. "There's nothing left to talk about." She opened a drawer like she was looking for something to anchor herself, maybe even trying to make coffee again, as if that would reset the morning. But I'd already emptied the drawer of everything but spoons. The chaos was deliberate. She was already off balance, and I wasn't giving her a surface to stand on. She tried again. It wasn't what it looked like. I turned to her slowly. "It was in our bedroom. You looked comfortable. Familiar. I've watched the video twice, don't test me." She stepped back. Her eyes flashed for just a moment, but then they dropped to the floor. She had no excuse prepared. Not one. That was the most telling part. I walked past her and went upstairs. Jacob followed. I could hear her pacing behind us, but she didn't call my name. She didn't beg. She didn't chase. Inside Emily's room, I found her sitting on the bed, legs swinging, already dressed for the day. She looked up and smiled, innocent and unaware. I knelt beside her and brushed a hand over her hair. "Hey, Svetbea. We're going on a little trip, okay? Just you, me, and Jacob." "Where's Mommy?" she asked. "She's staying here today. We'll talk more in the car." She nodded without hesitation, grabbed her favorite stuffed bear, and jumped off the bed. I guided her down the stairs while Jacob carried both bags to the trunk. The car was already packed, routes mapped, keys ready in my pocket. Lauren appeared in the doorway as I opened the front door. "You can't take them like this. You can't just leave." I looked her straight in the eye. "Check your email. You've been served. You'll get your notice of temporary custody. We'll let the court decide what happens next." Her lips parted, stunned. "You already filed?" "Last night," I said. "While you slept." The door shut behind me with a quiet click. "No slamming. No yelling." Just the sound of an ending. Once in the car, Jacob pulled out his earbuds and leaned forward. "Where are we going?" I checked the mirror, glanced at Emily, who was already humming to herself in the back seat, then shifted into gear. "A place she doesn't know. Somewhere we can breathe." The drive took 3 hours. I'd reserved a furnished apartment on the other side of the city, one that didn't require a credit check because I'd paid 6 months up front. It wasn't home, not yet, but it was safe. It had 2 bedrooms, clean walls, a quiet neighborhood, and no memories attached. We unpacked quickly. The kids took the larger bedroom. I gave them the space near the window and set up a makeshift schedule on the fridge. I bought groceries that same afternoon, replaced school supplies, and had new clothes delivered by evening. The routine had to start immediately. Any pause would let doubt slip in. That night, once the kids were asleep, I sat at the kitchen table and watched the videos again. I needed to see if I'd missed anything, some detail that might matter in court. I muted the sound, watching her gestures, her posture, the familiarity between them. None of it was accidental. This wasn't new. She'd been seeing him for a while. The way she leaned in during conversations, how she touched his arm when she laughed, how her hand slid across the sheets like she belonged there. It was rehearsed, practiced. I sent everything to my attorney, full videos, time logs, receipts. I attached photos of our credit card statements showing unusual charges during weekends she claimed to be working, hotel bookings under her maiden name, restaurant bills on nights I'd cooked dinner alone, thinking she was just stuck in traffic. He replied within minutes. Strong case. Minimal chance of shared custody, especially with Jacob willing to testify. The next morning, Lauren started calling. I didn't answer. Her number eventually switched to private, but I blocked that too. By noon, she sent her first email. Subject: "We need to talk." Body, you're making this harder than it needs to be. At least let me explain. I forwarded it to the lawyer. He replied with a single line, do not respond. We'll handle it through court. By day 3, she switched tactics. Subject, you're hurting the kids. Body, this isn't fair to them. They need their mother. I sat in silence for a long time after reading that. Fair? She wanted to talk about fairness now. She had been lying in the same bed our daughter crawled into for nightmares. She smiled across the dinner table after school plays. She laughed with Jacob, while knowing full well what she was hiding. She was already gone long before I left. Jacob saw me at the table and walked over. Is she texting you? Email. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then, are we going to have to go to court? Yeah, I answered. But we're ready. He sat across from me, his expression firm. I'll tell them everything. I'm not scared. I know, I said. But I want you to let me carry most of it. You're still a kid. I don't want you dragged into more than you need to be. Jacob looked down. She's been doing this for a while. I didn't say anything because I thought maybe I was wrong. But I started recording when I saw them hugging outside that place near school. She didn't even look guilty. You did the right thing. He nodded. That was it. He didn't need praise. He needed to know that someone believed him. That evening, I received notice that Lauren had hired a lawyer. There was no apology attached. Just formal language, requests for visitation, and a list of demands that made it clear she still thought she could negotiate her way through this. But the court date was already set. The process had started. She couldn't unring the bell. I hired a therapist for the kids that week. Jacob was reluctant at first, but eventually agreed. Emily just thought it was a fun place with crayons and puzzles. I kept their schools notified, filed address changes, and alerted the district. The legal paperwork was heavy, but my mind never drifted. I couldn't afford to miss a step. Meanwhile, Lauren tried other angles. Old friends called, trying to check in, claiming neutrality, but obviously fed by her. I gave them nothing. If they wanted to know the truth, they could ask her to explain the video. My parents offered to come visit, but I told them to wait. This part needed to be quiet. No distractions. No pity. No secondhand opinions. I wasn't rebuilding anything yet. I was just clearing space. The hardest part was pretending to be calm around Emily. She asked every night when she could see her mom again. I didn't lie. I just told her it was going to take time. She accepted that. Kids are better at adjusting than we think. One night, she asked me, "Do you still love Mommy?" I froze. For a moment, I didn't know how to answer. Then I said, "I loved who I thought she was. But sometimes people change, and we have to do what's best for the family." She nodded, then went back to drawing a picture of us with the sun in the corner. I stared at that drawing long after she fell asleep. The outline of a house. A dad, a son, a daughter. No mom. The court date was approaching. My lawyer prepared the files, statements, photos, timestamps, and custody arguments. Jacob's video had been edited to include only the clear parts, removing sound where necessary. Everything was lined up. I hadn't spoken to Lauren once since that morning. She hadn't seen the kids. No visites. No contact. She tried to appear in control through emails, but the panic was underneath every word. 2 weeks out from the court date, I reviewed the documents one last time. The timeline was solid. My attorney had built it airtight from every angle. There were no missing records, no gaps in activity. The judge would see a complete breakdown of her actions, where she went, who she saw, what she spent, and when. I wasn't leaving this to chance. Jacob's video footage had been converted into admissible evidence. He wouldn't need to speak unless absolutely necessary. His therapist had already filed a statement confirming that he understood what he saw and why he came forward. Emily, thankfully, wouldn't have to be involved at all. Lauren, through her attorney, requested a video call with the kids before court. I denied it. She had the chance to explain herself to them in person. She didn't. She had the opportunity to show remorse. She didn't. I wouldn't let her use their emotions as a strategy now. The morning of the hearing, I dressed in a plain shirt and slacks. Nothing loud. No emotion on my face. Just ready. Jacob waited with me in the lobby. My lawyer was reviewing final points as the courtroom doors opened. Lauren arrived 10 minutes later, in a navy suit jacket, hair tied back, expression firm but clearly strained. She sat on the other side with her lawyer, eyes never meeting mine. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Then we sat. The proceedings began with statements. My lawyer walked through the video timeline, the financial trail, the custody foundation. He showed how I secured everything only after proof was confirmed. He presented school records, character references, therapy evaluations, and outlined how the kids had remained stable, safe, and in routine since relocation. No dramatics. Just evidence. Lauren's attorney tried to counter. He claimed emotional distress. He argued that recording her was an invasion of privacy. He said the children were being shielded from their mother out of bitterness, not necessity. Then the judge asked for the video. It played. No sound, just movement. Lauren and the man. The same scenes Jacob had shown me that night. The judge leaned forward during the second clip, the one in the bedroom. He stopped it before it finished. He didn't need more. There was silence in a room after it paused. Then the judge asked Jacob if he was willing to speak. My son nodded and stood. He didn't read from anything. He didn't cry. He just said, I saw it. I recorded it because I knew no one would believe me. I didn't do it to get her in trouble. I just wanted the truth. The judge nodded, thanked him, and told him to sit. Then Lauren was asked to speak. She stood slowly, hands tight around the edge of the table. She didn't deny it. She didn't argue the content. Instead, she tried to explain. I made a mistake, she said. I didn't plan it. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. But her voice lacked urgency. She didn't even look at the judge when she said it. There was no apology, not to me, not to the kids, not to the court. When the testimonies ended, we were told to wait in the hallway. Jacob sat beside me in silence. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, the bailiff called us back. The judge began reading. It was straightforward. Full custody granted to the father. No visitation for 6 months. After that, supervised sessions to be reevaluated based on the children's comfort level and therapist recommendations. Financial control of all shared assets transferred to the father. Divorce finalized on grounds of marital misconduct. Immediate restraining order issued until the children were deemed emotionally stable. He slammed the gavel once. That was it. Lauren didn't cry. She just stood there, motionless. Her lawyer placed a hand on her shoulder, but she didn't move. I walked past without a word. Jacob followed. The elevator ride was quiet. Back at the apartment, Emily ran to the door when we returned. Did it go okay? She asked. I picked her up, smiled gently, and nodded. Yeah, it's all taken care of. We spent the evening playing board games. No discussions about the case. No courtroom talk. Just pizza, music, and laughter. Jacob cracked a few jokes, finally letting his guard down. Emily made up rules halfway through every round. I didn't correct her. It was good to hear them laugh again. The next week, I moved us into a more permanent place. A rental house with a fenced backyard and 3 bedrooms. It wasn't big, but it was clean, and it felt like a place where a second chapter could actually begin. I set up new furniture, let the kids pick their own bed sheets, and bought a grill for weekend dinners. School started back up. I met with their teachers personally to explain the situation. Jacob settled quickly. He even joined a community club. Emily adjusted slower, but her counselor said she was processing things in a healthy way. She started drawing again, this time with everyone included. Even her mom, but standing far in the background. She was healing in her own way. Lauren tried to contact us once through the lawyer, asking for updates. I didn't reply. My attorney sent a formal statement instead. Communication through court channels only. Months passed. The supervised visitation date arrived, but Lauren didn't show up. Her lawyer said she was reconsidering her approach. The judge marked her absence without comment. I didn't chase her. I didn't remind the kids of the visit. I let the moment pass like a cloud that never rained. Jacob kept moving forward. He grew taller, more confident. His therapist said he showed signs of leadership, taking care of his sister, stepping up when things got quiet. He no longer looked over his shoulder when people knocked on the door. Emily stopped asking where her mother was. She talked about school projects, birthday parties, and her favorite cartoons. She didn't avoid the topic. She just outgrew it. The confusion faded on its own. One Saturday morning, almost a year after everything, we visited the lake. The same place we'd gone to that weekend when Lauren stayed behind. The kids ran across the dock, skipping stones and chasing geese. I sat on the bench, watching them, wondering how close I came to letting everything fall apart just to keep the image of a family together. Jacob sat next to me, holding a can of soda. You ever think about what would have happened if I didn't show you that video? Sometimes, I said, but not for long. He nodded. I don't feel bad about it anymore. You shouldn't. You told the truth. He looked out at the water. I don't think she ever felt bad. I don't either. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. The silence between us was enough.